Good morning, students. This video lecture is prepared to teach the students of certificate course in sports nutrition organized by SAI and doesn't carry any conflicts of interest. To introduce about myself, I am Dr. Jahnavi Dande, sports physician working as scientific officer at Netaji Subhash National Institute of Sports, Patiala. In this lecture titled Basics and Principles of Rehabilitation in Sport, you will be learning about what is rehabilitation, the definition of rehabilitation, then the various principles of rehabilitation, the framework of rehabilitation, the components of rehabilitation, what are the components that you need to focus on while formulating a rehabilitation plan, and the phases of rehabilitation, what are the various phases in which rehabilitation can be done on an athlete. So let us learn about them one by one. What is rehabilitation? Rehabilitation is the holistic process aimed at restoring the athletes to his or her pre-injury function, a part of which involves the application of right treatments at the right timing. So what does it mean? If, for example, your athlete is injured, so you have to treat him and bring him back to his pre-injury function. You have to bring his fitness, you have to recover the injury to that level which to his pre-injury level. That is very important. So rehabilitation does this. Clear? Let us look into the various principles of rehabilitation. The first principle is avoid aggravation. What does it mean? You should prevent the injury from getting it worsened. For example, if your athlete suffered a grade 1 ankle sprain, it should be grade 1 only. You should take precautions to prevent it getting aggravated to either grade 2 or grade 3. This is the first and foremost thing. Keep the injury in that stage only. Don't allow it to aggravate. Don't do those things or those activities which can aggravate your injury. Next is timing. Timing of various components of rehabilitation is very important. You should not start the strengthening activity before his range of motion is restored to maximum extent or to certain extent. So it has to be, the various components have to be timed and they should not be reversed. Like you are telling the agility drills first followed by range of motion exercises. Like that you should not alter the exercises, and you should give sufficient time to improve the various components by means of your exercises. The third one is compliance. What is compliance? The athlete should adhere or strictly he should follow your rehabilitation program. It should not be monotonous. You should encourage the athlete so that he strictly follows the plan. You should assure his compliance. Then individualization. What is individualization? Just like training, just like your recovery, rehabilitation also, the benefits from rehabilitation are also individualized. So you have to keep this principle in mind whenever you formulate a rehabilitation plan in your athletes. Then specific sequencing. The components have to be sequenced. It's not like you are formulating one type of exercise which has to be done later. You are telling that to do before. Like for example, already I have given in the timing part. So the sequence, like concentric exercises, among strengthening also concentric exercises have to be done prior to eccentric exercises. Isometric strengthening has to be done prior to isotonic strengthening. So all the components have to be planned, or the exercises have to be planned in a specific sequence. Then the intensity. Never give 100% intensity exercises while doing rehabilitation. And the intensity has to start at a low intensity and then you have to progress it gradually. Total athlete. You should not rehabilitate only those parts that is injured. While providing rehabilitation, you have to focus on concentrating on all the athlete's fitness. So you should concentrate on the athlete in toto. Like you have to concentrate on his fitness parameters, on the risk factors to prevent him from getting injured again, to prevent his re-injury. All these things you have to rehabilitate an athlete in toto. That is very important. Let us look into the framework of sports injury rehabilitation. What should it include? What are the aspects that it should focus on? The team approach and the proper planning is very essential. Aims of rehabilitation and planning has to be done. The goals have to be long-term as well as short-term goals to progress to the next stage. Restore function and performance to a pre-injury level. Then safe return to sport. Minimize risks of injury or re-injury. All these are the various aspects which a rehabilitation program has to focus on. Let us look into the team approach and proper planning. Rehabilitation should follow a biopsychosocial approach. What does it mean? It should involve the various components other than the strengthening or other than the injury related, exercise related components. It should also include the various components like psychological aspects, the nutritional aspects during rehabilitation, the biomechanical aspects to correct the faulty technique or any other risk factors. So all these have to be incorporated in the rehabilitation plan. And team approach, it should be by a team, not by an individual. And in this team, who should be comprised of? Sports physician to diagnose and to propose a framework, followed by physiotherapist who has to look after the exercise components and modality components of the rehabilitation and who can supervise the rehabilitation program or the exercise related components. Then a psychologist to deal with the psychological aspects of the athlete, because once an injury occurred, and that too if the injury occurred before competition, the athlete's psychological will be in a lot of psychological trauma. He will be more anxious or he may get depressed. So all these psychological components have to be tackled by a psychologist. Similarly, a nutritionist, especially in a weight category game. So once the athlete is not training to his maximum or to his full, what is happening? He may suffer certain weight related changes. His weight may increase, his weight may decrease because of he may not be eating properly. So all these diet related issues, and what are the vitamins and minerals which can help in healing of the injury. All these components have to be taken care by the nutritionist. Then biomechanist. The role of biomechanist is also very important during the rehabilitation, because if your injury or your athlete's injury is caused by some training related or technique related errors like a faulty technique or some biomechanical abnormalities that are intrinsic to the athlete, that are present within the athlete, like flat foot or high arch, anything. So these dynamic or static biomechanical components or biomechanical abnormalities that are in the athlete needs to be tackled by a biomechanist during rehabilitation so that his re-injury can be prevented. And a strength and conditioning coach. So in the later phases of rehabilitation, when the athlete performs functional movements, the role of strength and conditioning coach comes into play, or an athletic trainer or a gym trainer. So they may be incorporated in the rehabilitation plan. And finally, the coach and the athlete or the critical people. This slide explains the team approach of injury management and biopsychosocial approach of clinical rehabilitation. So to manage any injury, the team, like the stakeholders, who are the stakeholders here? They are the athlete, the coaches, the family members, the organization or the federation, the clinician, all have to sit together, or the clinician has to consider all the preferences, their requirements of all the stakeholders. And what is the role of clinician? He has to give all the possible options available and bring about the best option considering the choices and preferences of the athlete and his people. Then once the management plan has been decided, then the roles have to be assigned to all the team members. Now, who are the team members here? They are the physiotherapist, all whom we have discussed, the psychologist, nutritionist, biomechanist, strength and conditioning coach. Roles have to be assigned so that there won't be any confusion in the future. Then the goals have to be set, short-term goals and long-term goal. It has to be monitored, and frequent communication with the athlete is also very essential regarding his improvement or regarding the aspects on which he should focus more. All these are very important. Once the management plan has started, frequently you have to follow the strategic assessment of risk and risk tolerance, that is START. It is nothing but strategic assessment of risk and risk tolerance at intervals. This is nothing but the clinician has to assess risk as well as the tolerating ability of that risk in an athlete. Here the injury risk has to be considered, the health risk has to be considered, and the tolerance of the athlete to all these risk factors. Finally, based on all these, a shared decision has to be taken before returning to sport. So while rehabilitation, frequent assessment through START is very much essential. And the second component that is essential is loading. Loading has to be given progressively, and it has to be increased gradually in such a way that it promotes the tissue healing but not the tissue damage, as you can see in the below slide. Then only the rehabilitation plan will become successful. Let us look into the aims of rehabilitation and planning. So, what should be your major aims? That is to return the athlete to sports at a pre-injury level, both physically and emotionally. Then to prevent re-injury. To identify the various risk factors that have caused injuries, which we have discussed in the lesson on prevention. So, identify the risk factors that are present within the athlete that can be modifiable. And then you should focus on eliminating those risk factors through your rehabilitation. And to prevent deconditioning. This is also a very important aspect, because when an athlete doesn't train after an injury, what happens? He develops a deconditioning in him. Matlab his fitness will be reduced. So this also has to be tackled while designing the rehabilitation program. The other essential aspect is to restore the function and performance of an individual or an athlete to a pre-injury level. For this, what you should need? You need a baseline data, because if you don't have baseline data, you can't compare while providing rehabilitation. So you have to improve his parameters to his baseline data or more than the baseline data, and this can be achieved by a proper pre-participation screening. That's why whenever you enter the team or when an athlete enters the team, you have to take all his baseline data. You have to screen him both medically, his musculoskeletal, because most of the injuries are because of abnormalities of the musculoskeletal system. So medical and musculoskeletal screening is very essential. Similarly, you can screen his psychological status. Similarly, you can screen his biomechanical aspects. You can also screen his nutritional aspects and his physical aspects. Like for example, he jumps this much before injury. So now after rehabilitation, you have to keep his jump to that much only or more than that. Or his fitness parameters have to be more than or at least as the pre-injury level. And always aim to restore the function to higher than the pre-injury level. This is also very important. Safe return to sport. So the transition has to be gradual to prevent re-injury after return to play. Return to play is nothing but you have cleared the athlete. You have made the athlete fit to play. Means he has completely recovered of injury and he can participate in the activity. This is, in medical terms, we call it as return to play. And once he can do training after return to play, he can progressively increase his training load, and once he can do complete training without any pain or without any injury, then you can make him fit to compete. That is return to competition. Return to play followed by return to competition. So after return to play, suddenly he increases his training load at once without a gradual transition, then he may re-injure again. Then full training pain-free has to be completed before clearing for competition. This is all we have discussed already. And now there is one debate. How much of the game he should play in his first match after recovery? How much percentage? It again depends and varies on the type of injury and varies from individual to individual. It also depends on the type of sport and his playing position. So I am stressing this here because look at this example. A goalkeeper coming back from lower limb injury can play the entire game, but a center forward who has to run more with the same injury could face limited playing time. Matlab, he is not allowed to play complete match. Slowly he has to start and gradually he has to progress. Means the effect of injury on the player, on the position of the player, on the type of sport he plays is also very important to understand. And the final aspect is to minimize the risk of re-injury. You all know from the prevention class, we have learnt what you have learnt, that is injury is the most important risk factor for a re-injury. A previous injury is a biggest risk factor for a re-injury. So you have to monitor the physical load on players returning to competition and also monitor on his acute to chronic workload ratio. We have discussed in the previous class. What is acute to chronic workload ratio? The ideal it should be from 0.8 to 1.3, where the performance will be more, at the same time injuries will be very less. If it is more than 1.5, then injuries are likely to occur. So you have to monitor the training load to prevent the re-injuries after rehabilitation. Now let us look into the various components in the model of rehabilitation. In this rehabilitation model, it is like a pyramid. So what you should first concentrate on? At the base, it is the physical examination to diagnose the injury, and at the same time an assessment to incorporate what are all the components, to look for what are all the components that can be tackled through the rehabilitation plan. So physical examination is done for two main reasons. One is to diagnose the injury, and at the same time diagnose or assess the risks and the various components or the various aspects which have to be incorporated in the rehabilitation plan. Followed by, once you have diagnosed the injury, then you have to treat. So the first aspect is you have to control the swelling, pain and all the signs of inflammation, and you have to restore integrity of the injured tissue. For this, what you will do, this is in the acute phase. Acute phase means it lasts for 2 to 3 days for any general injury, and it depends on the severity of the injury. If the injury is more severe, the acute phase can last even for 1 week. So in this acute phase, what you have to do? You have to concentrate on these components, the signs of inflammation and restoring the integrity of the injured tissue. So this can be done by Price or Police, that we will be discussing. And in the next phase, what you should do? You should try to restore the range of motion. Once inflammation is controlled, then start restoring the range of motion or the movement of the area injured, and restore the control of volitional contractions, that is isometric strengthening can be started, so that the muscle now starts contracting. Otherwise the muscle will become weak and goes into and can even go into atrophy, especially after the surgeries. So restoring range of motion and restoring the muscle contraction is very important. Once range of motion is restored to a certain extent, once the muscle can contract voluntarily, isometrically, the injured muscle or the muscles around the injured area, once this has been occurred, then you can progress to the strength and endurance. Then you need to restore the reflex actions also. That is, neuromuscular coordination also has to be started. The proprioceptive exercises all have to be told. Then you have to restore the complex functional movements. The athlete can be able to do the complex movements. They have to be trained. They have to be incorporated. Then return to functional activities. He can perform the functional activities. After that, he can perform his sport specific drills, followed by return to play. And if he is progressing gradually in the return to play, when he can achieve to taking up the complete training load, he can be made fit for playing the competition. So these are all the components which you have to incorporate in a rehab plan. Now let us look into the various stages of rehabilitation or the phases of rehabilitation. Phase 1 is acute phase. Phase 2 is reconditioning phase. Phase 3 is return to play, and phase 4 is phase to prevent the re-injury. Let us look into detail. In phase 1, as I have discussed during components or in the rehabilitation model, the main goals should be to promote tissue healing, to avoid deconditioning, and to decrease pain and inflammation. So this can be done by PRICE, and latestly nowadays in sports injuries you call it as POLICE. What is PRICE and what is POLICE? PRICE is nothing but protection, rest, icing, compression by means of a crepe bandage, and elevating the extremity. And now rest, there is no point of giving rest to the athletes, so because it increases the deconditioning in him. That's why optimum loading is rest has been replaced by optimum loading. What should you not do in the acute phase? That is harm. Heat, alcohol, running or any other form of exercise to that injured part which overloads that injured part. And massage. Massage also you should not do during acute phase. In stage 1, you can initiate a loading program because optimum loading can be initiated, but pain should be your guide. So if the athlete is getting pain while performing any activity, you should not allow him to do that. Whereas if he doesn't get any pain, then you can allow him to do the activity. So throughout the rehabilitation program, what should be your guide to progress any activity or any exercise, to stop any exercise that is pain. If any exercise is painful, you should go to the previous stage. Since early mobilization and tissue loading have shown a positive effect to promote collagen reorganization and tissue healing, you can start early mobilization and optimum loading. Then you can also use some electrotherapeutic modalities to stimulate the muscles like low intensity pulsed ultrasound and neuromuscular electrical stimulation. These will help to stimulate the muscle and promote the healing. So once acute phase is over, in phase 1 you have to start these exercises, a range of motion exercises, that is movement. Passive movement has to be initiated before active movements, that is the sequence. Then once you can allow him to bear weight. Once he bears his weight fully, then you can start aerobic activity also. Without pain, if he can do, you can start aerobic activity. Then isometric exercises have to be done. Stretching has to be done. So to decrease pain and inflammation, you can also use some NSAIDs, that is, these are the painkillers, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. To restore the range of motion and the joint play, you can also perform joint mobilization. In these slides, you can see some of the exercises for increasing range of motion and isometrics of the shoulder joint to increase the, which can be given in phase 1. Then these are some exercises for knee injuries, stretching, range of motion exercises and isometric drills, which can be given in phase 1. Next comes the reconditioning phase. So you have to increase the complexity of movements gradually. In this reconditioning phase, your goals should be to restore activities of daily living, to regain and improve muscle strength, and to improve the neuromuscular control. So what are the exercises you have to do? You have to continue exercises of phase 1 with increasing number of repetitions, velocity of movement and the frequency. All this can be increased. Modalities can be used if required, and if required, medications to heal the tissue can be given to the athlete. You have to start with isotonic exercises, first concentric and then eccentric. And you have to start the isotonic exercises in non-weight bearing, followed by partial and protected weight bearing, then full weight bearing strengthening exercises. Then you can also incorporate the PNF, proprioceptive neuromuscular function. That is mostly in case of ligament injuries, because the proprioceptors are located around the ligament. These are nothing but receptors which tell us about the joint and position sense. So in ligament injuries, incorporating the balancing drills or the proprioception exercises is very important or essential. Then you can also start the cardiovascular training, like your aerobic training, to maintain the fitness of the individual. In these slides, you can see the isotonic concentric exercises and the eccentric exercises of shoulder rotation, internal and external rotation. And in the second picture, you can see the various flexion patterns and the extension patterns to improve the proprioception of the shoulder or the neuromuscular control of the shoulder joint. Same thing, you can see the exercises for the knee joint, concentric as well as eccentric, and the PNF stretches and the Swiss ball exercises for enhancing the core stability. Now, once the strength has been restored, then his proprioceptive function has started developing, then you can improve his strength, power and endurance further. Improve his neuromuscular control further. And you can now prepare the athlete for the activity or to take up the training load. All these will be done in phase 3, that is return to sporting activities. So you have to continue. Modalities can be continued. Stretching, isotonic strengthening have to be gradually progressed. Then eccentric strength exercises have to be incorporated. And you have to emphasize the proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation or functioning. It's not facilitation, it's functioning. Then you can initiate isokinetic strengthening also and plyometric training. All this can be incorporated in the training schedule or in the rehabilitation program. In these slides, you can see the plyometric exercises of the shoulder which can be given in the third phase of rehabilitation, and the exercises to regain the proprioception and neuromuscular control of shoulder joint. Here are some exercises for enhancing the plyometric activities of the lower limbs. In this slide, you can see the balance and proprioceptive exercises of the lower limb. That is for any knee injuries or ankle injuries, you can give these exercises. There are n number of exercises available. The only thing is you have to consider what are all the resources available with you. And within those resources, you have to propose the exercise for the athlete. For example, your athlete is training in an elite center like in NIS. You have lots of resources available, lots of equipment available. Whereas if your athlete is training on a remote place where the equipment is very less, then also you have to formulate a rehabilitation program based on the resources or the equipment available with you. Once the rehabilitation criteria for the conditioning phase have been fulfilled, a decision on return to play needs to be taken. This should be a collaborative decision made by entire rehabilitation team, and the athlete himself should be the final judge on return to play. You should only guide the athlete, decisions have to be taken by the athlete only. This is what is called informed decision. That is, you should inform all the things, all the benefits, all the risks and everything. Then the athlete has to decide. The strategic assessment of risk and risk tolerance. It's a theoretical framework that aids the clinicians in making informed decisions while gradually returning the athletes to their respective sport. So, this framework, this is a theoretical framework which has to be followed while returning to sport especially and making decisions. Return to participation ideally involves the athlete training with the team to include sport specific training to the ongoing rehabilitation. And load monitoring, as I have already told, is very essential in this stage to prevent sudden peaks in acute training load and to avoid re-injury. Once the athlete has gone an incident-free training session, a partial return to sport is recommended, which may include not playing an entire game or coming on as a substitute to avoid a sudden increase in acute workload. So it also varies from individual to individual, and the playing position or the type of activity which he performs and the site of injury. All these factors need to be considered here. Now let us look into the aspects of prevention of re-injury. A previous injury is the highest predictor of a risk of re-injury. We have already discussed about this. And therefore, it is extremely important to monitor the athlete even when he has gone back to full participation. So, monitoring is very essential to prevent the re-injury. So, and periodic health examination. This is also very essential. So what you should do in this phase, you have to maintain optimum level of strength, power and endurance. And you have to progressively increase the activity level so that he prepares for full functional return to sport. And the other thing which you should do is, you can incorporate the prevention aspects in the rehabilitation plan. Like for example, incorporating injury prevention program as in warm-up. This is a warm-up called FIFA 11 Plus that when you incorporate it in your training schedule, it prevents the injuries. Or incorporating eccentric training programs, incorporating the drills, which plyometric drills, which can decrease the injuries. So all this can be incorporated. So about FIFA 11 Plus, this is a protocol, warm-up protocol to focus on strength, flexibility and core stabilization, and highly recommended for prevention of primary injuries as well as re-injuries in recovering soccer players. This I have given as an example. Rehabilitation, when you formulate it, you feel it's simple and it will be like this straight line given on the left side of the graph. But in reality, rehabilitation is very complex. It is very complicated and you have to search at various levels. You have to assess at various levels. You have to identify. You have to go forward and or go back depending on the pain or any risks that are present in the athlete. You have to carefully monitor this rehabilitation program for fruitful results in injury management. With this, I conclude the session. Thank you.